Good morning, students. Today we are going to prepare the new topic of a process account, that is abnormal loss and abnormal gain. Abnormal loss, one process. Illustration sum number 10. Normal and abnormal losses without scrap value. Prepare a process account from the following along with abnormal loss account and a normal loss account. Material issued to process 1000 kg at 200 rupees each. Wages rupees 1,40,000 and overhead 20,000 rupees. Normal loss 10% of output. Actual output is 800 kilos. So look at here what they ask from the given data. They ask us to prepare a process account, abnormal loss account and normal loss account. We need to prepare the three accounts from the given information. Okay, let's prepare the process account, first account. Okay, material issued to process 1000 kgs at rupees 200 kilos. Okay, so the cost per kilo is 200 rupees. How much for 1000 kilos? So we need to multiply both of them. That means 1000 kilos into 200 rupees. We will get 2 lakh rupees. So the cost of the material is 2 lakh rupees. The quantity of material is 1000 kilos. So all the input item as per the process account format, all the input quantity and the values is to be entered on data side. Accordingly, material entered and wages 1,40,000 rupees enter on data side. Overhead 20,000 rupees enter on data side. So all the input quantity and the input values enter on data side of the process account. At the end of let's calculate all the input values. Okay, have added together, you got 3,60,000 rupees. That 3,60,000 rupees enter on both the side as total. Okay, data on data side. Then what they given, normal loss 10% of input, actual output is 800 kilos. Let's working out. Okay, so prepare the working out. What we need to prepare, we need abnormal loss, okay, and normal loss quantity. The quantity of abnormal loss and normal loss we need. So we are going to prepare these to find out this value through working out. Okay, whenever you have the normal loss, always calculated with the input value, right? So accordingly, normal loss we have 10%. The input value is, the quantity of input is 1000 kgs, is to be calculated with the normal loss 10%. 10,000 kilos into 10%, you get 100 kilos. So the normal loss quantity is 100 kilos. Okay, so after find out the normal loss through input quantity, then it is to be deducted, it is to be subtracted. So the normal loss 100 kilos is subtracted from the input quantity 1000 kilo, you will get 900 kilos. The 900 kilos is called normal output. After deducted normal loss from the input quantity, you got the quantity. That quantity is called as what? Normal output. So the normal output we get 900 kilos. All in abnormal loss account, then we have the actual output. How much actual output we have? They given in the question 800 kilos. The actual output we have 800 kilos. Okay, so actual output is deducted from the normal output. Okay, so the actual output 800 kilos is deducted from the normal output 900. You got the different quantity is 100. What is the difference between actual output and the normal output? The difference between the actual output 800 subtracted from the normal output 900 kilo, you get the different quantity is 100 kilo. So how can you find out that 100 kilo is abnormal loss or abnormal gain? It's very simple. We have the format to find out whether it is abnormal loss or abnormal gain. Listen, if the normal output is more than that of the actual output, it is called as, the different value is called as abnormal loss. Accordingly, we have normal output is more than that of the actual output. So we get 100 kilo as abnormal loss. Okay. So we find out the abnormal loss 100 kilos, the normal loss quantity 100 kilos. The quantity of normal loss 100 kilos, the quantity of abnormal loss 100 kilos. Let's enter it on process account. On which side? Normal loss, abnormal loss and output always appears on creditor side of the process accounts. Okay. So accordingly, normal loss enter on creditor side 100 kilos, abnormal loss quantity is 100 kilos. Then the actual output given in the question, output always we in simple process account we find out the output value. Okay. So here to find out the abnormal loss only, they have given in the question the actual output 800 kilos. So output value entered on creditor side 800 kilos. Okay. Now we need to find out the value of output. Okay. Value of abnormal loss and value of output. How can you find out? We have the format to find out the. Let's find out value of abnormal loss. Okay. It's very simple. How can you find out the abnormal loss value? Before we find out the abnormal loss value, we need to find out the cost per unit. If you find out the cost per unit, you can easily find out the abnormal loss value. Okay. So we have the format to find out the cost per unit. That is normal cost of normal output divided by normal output. That means total cost. Normal cost of normal output we have 3,60,000 rupees. Okay. Wow. What is the normal output? Normal output we have 900 kilos. Okay. So the 3,60,000 rupees is divided by the 900 kilos. So you will get cost per unit is 400 rupees. So the cost per unit we get 400 rupees. How can you find out the total value divided by the normal output? We get the cost per unit, that is 400 rupees. Okay. So after find out the cost per unit, that cost per unit is to be entered on process account creditor side. Cost per unit value is 400 rupees. Enter on which side? Creditor side of the process account. Then it's very easy to find out the abnormal loss. Okay. So how much quantity of abnormal loss we got? 900 kilos. Okay. So what is the cost per unit? Cost per unit is 400 rupees. So cost per kilo is 400 rupees. How much for 100 kilos? It is to be multiplied 400 rupees into 100 kilos. You will get 40,000 rupees. The cost of the abnormal loss 100 kilo is 40,000 rupees. Enter on amount column. Okay. So the value of abnormal loss we find out. Let's find out the output value. How can you find out output value? It's very easy. Listen, the total value, how much total value we have? 3,60,000 rupees. The 3,60,000 rupees is to be deducted with abnormal loss of 40,000 rupees. So the abnormal loss 40,000 rupees is deducted from total cost 3,60,000. You will get the different value 3,20,000. That is called output value. So the output value 3,20,000 we find out. Output quantity they given in the question 800 kilos, and the output value also now we find out. Again this value you are going to write by output. Okay. So the output is to be transferred to the next account. So for that you are going to write transferred within the bracket. Okay. So we prepared the process account. Let's prepare the individual account, that is abnormal loss account and normal loss account separately. Okay. Before that, we clearly understand. We need to clearly understand where is the normal loss and abnormal loss appears and which account it shows. Okay. So the normal loss appears on creditor side of the process account, and similarly the abnormal loss also appears on creditor side of the which account? Process 1 account. Okay. Whenever you prepare the separate account for normal loss and abnormal loss, when it appears on creditor side of the process account, it will be appears on opposite side, that is debtor side of the normal loss account and abnormal loss account. In opposite side only it appears. Okay. So on which account it appears? Here in process account it appears. In process account, normal loss appears on creditor side, and in process account abnormal loss account is appears on creditor side of the process account. So now we are preparing the separate account for normal loss and abnormal loss. We are going to enter on opposite side. Which account is opposite side of the creditor side? Debtor side is the opposite side of from the creditor side. Okay. So let's prepare the second account, that is called, after preparing the process account, now we are going to prepare the abnormal loss account. Okay. So in abnormal loss account, when you where you enter in debtor side. Okay. So because the normal loss account 100 kilo and 40,000 rupees is to be taken from the taken from the which account? Process account. Okay. On which side? Creditor side. We transfer from the creditor side, enter on debtor side of the abnormal loss account. So you are going to write to process account. Why? Because these values is transferred from the process account. So for that you are going to write to process account 100 kilos and 400 rupees of abnormal loss. Okay. So the same value enter as the total on both debtor and creditor side entered. Okay. Then we are going to tally this value. Let's take the unit column, which means the kilos column. How much kilo we have the abnormal loss? 100 kilos we have the abnormal loss. So for that 100 kilos we need to calculate. Okay. That 100 kilos we are going to selling through scrap value. The abnormal loss we have 100 kgs. That 100 kgs, total 100 kgs of abnormal loss is to be selling through the scrap value. But here the scrap value is not given in the question. Listen, without the scrap value we are calculating now. Okay. So the scrap value is not given in the question. We don't know how much is scrap value. Okay. So in value column, amount column, we are going to write nil balance. Okay. That so listen, understand clearly that total 100 kgs of abnormal loss selling through the scrap value. Whenever you selling through the scrap value, whatever value, while you are going to sales, you are getting the cash, right? So we are going to write by cash account 100 by cash account. Okay. Listen, the scrap value you don't know. Okay. So for that the same 40,000 rupees is transferred to the costing of a P&L account. So against this value 40,000 rupees, you need to showing the account. So that 40,000 rupees is transferred to P&L account. Okay. So for that you are going to write by costing P&L account transferred. Okay. So we prepared the abnormal loss account. Okay. Next account we are going to prepare normal loss, same format. Okay. So where is normal loss appearing on in the process account? It appears on creditor side. So whenever you prepare the separate account for normal loss account till whatever account, whenever you are transferring that values and the quantities from which side, if you transferring from the creditor side, it will be enter on debtor side. Okay. So accordingly we transferring from the normal loss 100 kilos from creditor side of the process account, it is to be enter on debtor side of the normal loss account. Okay. So against this value you are going to write process account because it's taken from process account. Okay. 100 kilos enter. There is no scrap value only. You need to write nil or hyphen. There is no scrap value is given in the question. Okay. So amount column we need to write any amount. Okay. So that 100 kilos total is to be entered on both the debtor and creditor side. Okay, now find out that 100 kilo is selling through the scrap value. Okay, so whenever you selling through that 100 kilos, whatever kilos, you are getting this cash. Okay, you are receiving cash. Okay, so for that you are again this quantity you are going to write by cash account. Okay, because that is normal loss 100 kilos selling through scrap sales. Okay, so you are receiving the cash through sales, through scrap sales. You are receiving the cash. So that cash is to be entered on cash account. So for that you are going to write by cash account. Within the bracket you should write sales through scrap value. Okay. Do you have any doubt? Please comment it into the comment box. Thank you. Take